Hey, this is an audio only show. Play us in the background as you do whatever it is that you do. Thanks for listening and welcome to the Messy Mic. Please remember to like and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Hey, okay. This episode is going to be about Pinky Cole and why she is a superior year one housewife. Okay. Now, online, there seems to be people and folks who are not feeling Pinky, I think, because of the bankruptcy story that she keeps pushing during her first season. But I think on her year one, she's doing an all around, actually great job as a housewife on a long standing franchise that does not play. It's really hard coming into the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise. They have historical folks who have memes and iconic taglines and memorable moments and you know, they read. They read and they read for filth and they'll slaughter you and they'll put all your business out there. So I think that she is coming in and doing a decent job with her first year. Here are the reasons. One, she actually has a storyline. Whereas Kelly, yes, on her year two, she had a storyline, but her year one storyline didn't feel as strong. Yes, it was with her kids. She was opening up the Nana's restaurant but and a divorce, but it didn't really feel like we got to know her. It felt like we got to know an image of her or a shell of her. Didn't feel deep. Whereas with Pinky, I actually do feel like it's a bit deeper. You don't see as much of her kids, but we know her kids are there. I think the intricacies of her husband, first of all, not saying to her husband first off on camera, at least that she's gonna do this bankruptcy piece. She had a conversation with every other person, and the last person was her husband. And she uses this reasoning of, wanting to be a strong woman, and solve her own problems. But I think there's a little bit more there. And if she comes back next year, we'll see a little bit about what impact that will have. I don't think you should be keeping things from your hubby that way, or they should be the last to know, especially when they run a mirrored business. But she does have a storyline. I think also just seeing someone come out of having back to back kids. She had back to back children with her husband, but then trying to run this business or running this business. I'm not gonna say trying to run this conglomerate of a business. It's a big business. Restaurant business isn't easy. She expanded it rapidly. And the pros and cons and the impacts of that she's now feeling are all kind of coming to a head. So I think she has more of a storyline of things to come for the next year. Next, she keeps storylines in the whole show moving. She is learning how to be a bone collector. Okay. She catches something, she doesn't necessarily throw it out there in the group, but she'll maybe say or point to like, "Hey, Michelle, are you okay? Do you feel good? Are you good?" Right? Are you fine? Knowing that there's more there, right? And she allows that person to either share or not share. And then we'll bring it up later with them on one-on-ones. I think she does a good job of being messy, but not too messy. Enough where people are inquisitive of the questions she's asking a particular person, but not so messy where she causes immediate drawdowns or big blowups right at the moment. I think a person who was trying to be a bone collector, but this was on a different franchise, which was Potomac, was it Kiara? Kiara. She brought that bone at one of the parties to Monique, but she was so direct in her sentence. She didn't know how to kind of tiptoe around the Sam um, Monique storyline with, what's her name? Well, her name is, Stacy. So, it got messy, and I think that's a poor job of being a bone collector, where I think Pinky is learning how to be a bone collector very subtly and to keep things moving. Um, on her first year, she wasn't afraid to get into a one-on-one shade battle with Angela. She went for it. They went back and forth, bankruptcy to bankruptcy. They were throwing so much shade, at each other, and she wasn't afraid. And you know what she did not do about it too, that I will say at other franchise, folks on their first year do? She did not cry about it. K. Michelle on her first year has cried a couple of times already. Pinky has not cried. She not in that way. She does cry a lot about the bankruptcy, but if someone says something to her, she hasn't had like a million tears or hold it the grudge scene after scene after scene. With her and Angela, they went for the jugular on their shade battle, and she didn't hold the grudge the next day and the next day and the next day. She owned up to it, Angela owned up to it, and for the last episodes, they have not held a grudge against each other. They kept the storyline moving, and it's so annoying when people hold grudges. I'm gonna, again, jump to another franchise, Potomac, where you had, Angel hold on to the catfish story for and ruined so many fun times and just cried about the catfish story, right? Um, K. Michelle holding on to this, plot twist for a few episodes, get over it, move on, get to the next battle. And so she doesn't hold grudges so far that way. And she's playing the middle pretty decently in this split group, right? She's not necessarily best friends with Portia and Phaedra and them, but she plays nice with them. She has been more friendly to the new folks, as she's new herself, so Kate Michelle. And she's been on Shamia's side, but I think she's seeing how Shamia works, and we all have heard deep dives on Shamia. Nor has she gotten too close to Portia too, where she's gonna get stung by her. So her playing a middle ground at this point is working to me in her favor for her to come back next season. And I really would like to see what happens at the reunion. Again, we haven't seen the next episode from this Fallout piece. So I think that's also going to determine where she stands in this group. And I think she's going to have to not necessarily make a decision, but it will be more clear on who she stands with. Or Pinky, we'll see the play that she makes. She may really very well play the middle in a way that doesn't seem like she's playing the middle. One of the things I do commend her for, although you get tired of hearing the word bankruptcy, 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 probably tired of me saying it, but she did have money, and I'm not saying she comes from money, but she did learn to acquire money to build this business. So with Pinky, I give her some slack on slutty vegan. I want to be like vegan slut, in the sense that when she built the business, she built it from the ground up. She did bootstrap, right? When it caught on and she was able to get a good source of revenue, she was able to go out for funding, for VC funding or private equity funds, right? And get investors. She did that to expand and scale her business to more footprint. Maybe overextended herself. What I can tell you for a fact, just listen, because I don't want to put all my stuff out there. There are so many people who lead these businesses and they have great ideas, and then they go after the VC money and they go after the investor money. There are people who have companies private for 10 years. They've been turning profits for 10 years, 7 years, and then all of a sudden they have a new product launch they want to do and they want investors because they don't want to use the company capital or the business capital they have to launch and scale this new product. So they go get investors. The thing is, you can't separate the investors to the one product. They get a portion of your company, period. They get a portion in shares of your company. You have to be careful of the strategy of those investors. I think going into it, a lot of folks are blind, not just Pinky. I think it's sad that Pinky has to be singled out and she singles herself out in this way because she's telling her storyline. But this storyline is one of hundreds of folks who have been privileged enough to go out for these funds. It is not a privilege for Black people in general, men, women, whatever, to get these funds. We're less than like 2% of any VC funds, and probably even less now in this modern day time, given some of the changes that have been brought about. So when she went for that money, now have a seat on they get to have a seat on your board. They get to have a say so in your finances. They get to have a say so in the direction. They will play games. They will get in your head. They will make you doubt a business inkling or direction you want to go in. They'll do it by speaking business terms, speaking above you, making you second guess some of your notions. And it'll all sound good. And it basically becomes like a gauntlet at the board chair and the board seats. And they have high egos and they will make you feel like you did not do the right thing. And for your business, you have to have strong people to back you for those. You have to have people who are experienced and board seats, experience in that I call it the gauntlet, in that type of gauntlet, because when you go for your quarterly board chair meetings, it becomes a gauntlet, especially for those who have shares in the company. They want to know that they're going to get that money back, but you also don't know your investors' other like playbook and what else they got going on. So you have to go in with a strong head, and it's just a lot of people rely on their investors on the first time when they get the money to lead them. That's not always the best thing. You really do have to lead the business. I think she caught on to that. She realized, "Oh, no, this isn't what I want, and I maybe did too much, and I need to buy my business back." And what you're seeing, she's using her personal capital to buy those shares back, to buy her business back. It's not like you can just be like, "Yeah, I want my portion back. Here's 100K, here's 200K." If she got millions of dollars, she has to come up with millions to slowly buy those shares back, or she has to find other investors to buy that out. And so what you see now, instead of the investors' capital coming out of an account, 20K, it seems like you see it her own personal capital be used. That's just my assumption. I don't know if it's running that way. That's just my experience. That's just the kind of things that I know about some of the background on businesses, but not necessarily her business. But that's what it appears to me from that analysis. That's just my opinion. And so because of that, it does hurt. And so we're seeing her go through that emotion, which makes me say that she does have another storyline to give out for next year. I'm just saying that she has a strong footing. I'm not saying she's the best housewife out there. I think she gets people ding her for her looks, but her makeup is always on point. Her hair is done. She wears, she wears I don't ever always like her outfits, but some of her outfits been on point, but they're quality clothes, they're name brand clothes. She's holding her own toe to toe with the girls in the room. And unlike some of the other housewives, she does have a prominent business and a prominent brand that she's trying to rein in so that it can get back on track. But I don't think it's failing business in the sense of like Nana's restaurants only in Atlanta. She literally tried to make a national chain rapidly when she probably should have done some slow growth. And we're seeing her learn that mistake in real time, and it just seems more heartbroken. I do think Angela's right and like, "Hey, you gotta get up and get your shit together." I lost a few $1,000,000 because I made some mistakes in buying too many houses, too much real estate. She scaled too fast. They both scaled too fast, Angela and Pinky. So, with that being said, these are just my points to just keep an eye on Pinky and maybe be a little bit more excited for her next year. She may not be the star outbreak housewife that everybody wants her to be, but I definitely think she keeps things going and on track. And we need that right now so we don't get stuck in these muddy, grudgy, boring episodes where people cry all the time. So, if you like what I said, hit like and subscribe. You can catch the podcast too of The Messy Mike if you want to catch us off of YouTube for wherever you listen to podcasts. And thanks for listening today. Bye bye.